I'm just making a series of noises that are nonsensical.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there's Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Twitter and Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. You can also find the show on YouTube every Monday at namely90s.com/YouTube. And finally, if you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/namely90s with a 90s and sign up for one of the support levels. Here we are again. Welcome back.
Here we are again. Thank you. It's been 6 days.
Yeah. True. We're back getting in the rhythm again,
Yeah. Great rhythm. Sorry, I just noticed I had the wrong episode up. So
excellent.
Yeah. No, we're back. We had a Quotely 90s last week on Thursday over on the Insanely Dangerous Retro Pod show. This is week 3 of me doing Namely 90s Minute as our mid-episode break, which you can also find on YouTube at namely90s.com/YouTube. Share that if you will, and we'll start getting some hate from YouTube because the guy from Screen Crush didn't do the pitch meeting last week.
Yeah, but I'm glad we're in 93 because I feel like 90, 91, it's kind of like going to going to the drugstore right now where it's just empty. There's nothing. There's supply chain issues, but supply chain issues with nostalgia or something like that.
The supply chain nostalgia issues. Love it.
I mean, they have nothing. I tried to find sesame seeds at Safeway the other day and they were all gone. But we also had this issue where they had closed the passes because of the snow.
Mm-hmm.
But that ended like 2 weeks ago. And someone was like, yeah, I think they just opened up the passes last week at Target. And I was like, yesterday. And I'm like, no, they didn't. They've been open for like a week.
Don't you fly in on when you did your Twitch streams, didn't you fly the FedEx plane?
Yeah, FedEx, but they don't deliver groceries and retail goods.
Well, it's a cargo plane. I assume cargo planes.
No, everything just goes over the road from Seattle.
Not even on the rail.
No, big
no
things.
Rail line.
But what I realized is going in all these stores, they're just empty. But Kayla went to Hobby Lobby the other day, which was not intended. Okay, listen, Michael's was empty. And I'll tell you what, Hobby Lobby and Walmart, well stocked. I mean, if there's one thing Republicans know how to do, it's stock a store. I don't know what that is. Probably by exploiting labor and not paying people well. But anyway.
I mean, yes. You're not wrong.
I was just thinking if they could just put a Chick-fil-A inside of every Hobby Lobby, that would be a great business model, don't you think?
And put it right next to the Planned Parenthood, so you can get your protest art supplies.
Yeah, you can get your posters to picket with.
Mm-hmm. And just leave your pickup in front of the Planned Parenthood because no one's going to need that parking spot.
Yeah, exactly. So, anywho, some nice digs in there at the old conservatives as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hobby Lobby's a nightmare.
I mean, is it? I imagine it's like a Cracker Barrel.
Well, in the sense that no one was wearing a mask inside of it, then yes, it's a Cracker Barrel.
Oh, yeah. So you've been trying to get me to move to Spokane for on occasion. You're telling me there's no Asian store, there's no Asian market to shop at,
Oh yeah, there's a place off North Division with blacked out windows that just says Asian Market, which probably has great stuff, honestly.
I mean, yeah, our little Asian market in town is more of a bodega than it is a grocery store.
Oh yeah, it doesn't look good by any means. Oh, we have best Asian market. We have Asian World Food Market. Hey, 4.3 stars, man. We've got like 4 and 5 or 5 in town.
I'm just saying, if you need sesame seeds, I would go there over, say, Hobby Lobby.
No, I went to Safeway for the sesame seeds. But they're like Sunluck brand, so they're not just like white people sesame seeds, right?
Isn't Sunluck brand the white people Asian brand?
Yes, it is. Because I can read it. So yeah, got my sesame seeds today. Those trucks there was a truck full of sesame seeds that needed to arrive in Spokane.
It was a grain silo attached to a semi truck.
Yeah. So anyway, nice to see things back in the stores again. At least toilet paper is not hard to come by.
True. Speaking of things that are nice to see back again, did you see this yesterday? This what was it called? When We Were Young Festival. And sorry, this is technically outside of the range of the 90s.
That's okay.
But it was a festival that they announced that tickets go on sale Friday, which last Friday for our listeners. But let's see if you can see that.
Oh, I have seen this.
Yeah, and it's
real?
That's the thing. Like, they announced it 2 days ago. Pre-sales go on sale tomorrow. Or I guess they announced it yesterday. And it's like, My Chemical Romance, Paramore, AFI, Jimmy Eat World, Avril Lavigne, Taking Back Sunday, Dashboard Confessional, Alkaline Trio.
So everybody who's anybody?
Like, I'm wearing my Emo's Not Dead t-shirt, but like, good Lord, there's no way that it's a 1-day festival in Vegas, 3 stages, 60. There are 65 bands on this poster, and it starts at 11 a.m. and goes until midnight. So
my friend is so pissed about this because he does stage work. He builds stages. He rigs and sound and all that stuff, and he's just like, this is stupid. Like, he just is not a big fan of what they're doing.
Well, there's no way it makes sense. Like, I mean,
exactly.
even if they have 3 stages, if they all got equal play time, they would play for 36 minutes with no transition. Like,
right, and there's always a transition. They got to move some stuff around, plug stuff in.
They said there's going to be the opening acts won't play as long as the headliners, but on their website they say headliners can play up to an hour or more.
How are any of those not headliners? You know what I mean?
That's true. I mean, there's there's the smaller ones that are like, I've never heard of Foot in My Mouth Therapy, but apparently that was an emo band. A Day to Remember. I think they're a headliner because they're so big, but like, let's see. Atreyu's on here. I've heard of them. Horror Pops. The Linda.
Isn't Atreyu like a screamo? Yeah, I feel like
probably something I'd drag you or Taylor to at Bumbershoot. Thursday's on here, but they're small. Hawthorne Heights. I don't know half of these bands, but like the mainstays are like, I'd go do it. But then like the ticket prices are like ridiculous.
I'd get COVID there. That sounds great.
And it's non-refundable. It's in Vegas. It still sounds like a scam. It's put on by the people that did the Astro World from the other.
Good. Nothing like getting trampled to death to cap off your concert experience.
Thank you. Yeah. So,
I still thought that was the guy from Blink-182 that put that on.
No, that was Fire. He was at Fire Festival. He wasn't, or Blink-182 wasn't.
No, but like, what was the guy's name?
From Blink-182.
No. Well, yeah. What's the guy from Blink-182?
Mark Hoppus.
No.
Tom DeLonge.
No. Don't they have a Barker?
Travis Barker. Gotcha. So,
but who is the guy? It's something else Barker. It's like
Travis Scott.
Travis Scott
from the Happy Meals.
For the longest time, I thought it was the guy from Blink-182. I thought it was Travis Barker everyone was talking about. It sounds like Travis Scott. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
I think I was the one that said that because it feels like we've talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but I know we talked about it. And speaking of things that are too good to be true, this week's mid-episode break is on Hilary Duff, who starred in, well, you'll find out in the mid-episode break, but she's starring in How I Met Your Father on Hulu. The first 3 episodes are out now, if you're listening to this and the sound of my voice. First 1 episode is out right now. First 2 episodes are out right now. I'll just use whatever cut is accurate when I get to there.
All I know is I see the preview for it on Facebook or wherever periodically, and there's like this part where like it cuts to Hilary Duff just opening a door and like talking to the camera, or like you as the camera, and it just looks super fake. Like it just doesn't look.
It does harken back to like early How I Met Your Mother, where it's like, this is clearly a sitcom on a stage.
Yeah, exactly. You were like, wow, that's a set, like it just was
great production value. I don't think it helps that they revisit the old sets.
I see.
But spoilers, sorry. But yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes because I said last episode I would watch it. We could talk about it because Hilary Duff started her career in the 90s, technically. And it wasn't great.
Wow. I'm shocking.
I'm a big How I Met Your Mother fan. I liked the final season. It wasn't the best, but I was very upset at the time that they made us like so invested in a relationship over the entire season. Like that's their wedding. Why would you just rip it out from under us in the last like 10 minutes of the final episode?
I think the issue is like the motivation behind reboots or sequels is really you just want more of the original show.
Yes.
But nothing will ever live up to the original show and the best times of that show. So it's just like, why bother? But it's money.
If you try to recapture the old like nostalgia, it's not as good, and it's not like it seems photocopied, which there are parts in the show where it's just like, okay, no, we're not, that's not going to be a thing. That was dumb. You have an entire writer's room. Why are you doing this? But while it's not great, it's not bad. All
right.
I will probably, it's 10 episodes. I will probably watch it. I have Hulu, so with our Disney Plus bundle, it's not going to go away. And Hilary Duff is charming as per usual. It's nice to have her on television again, and she's actually our age. I didn't realize this. Like, she's 34.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought she was older than us by a few years because she started on like a Disney Channel show when we were kids, and it's watchable. It's wow. It hits some of that nostalgia.
Something to strive for.
Well, okay. If you want to watch something, I already said this on our Twitter. If you want to laugh, watch Peacemaker on HBO Max. That is a good, funny ass show. Not for kids though. Also, Samantha from Sex and the City is in How I Met Your Father as older Hilary Duff. That's Kim Cattrall. Yeah. I was like,
strange.
I was looking at her. I'm like, who is that? And why is that not Bob Saget doing the voiceover?
Wasn't it Bob Saget though? No, just kidding. His reanimated corpse.
Is Kim Cattrall at age 60.
Yes.
Instead of doing Sex in the City.
Well, it's been like 17 minutes. Should we talk about January of 1993?
All right. Travel back with me, listeners, if you will, to January of 1993. On the 1st, Washington loses to Michigan in the 79th Rose Bowl, 38-31. That's University of Washington Huskies. On the 5th, Price is Right model Janice Pennington sues CBS for an on-set accident from a 1988 episode where she was hit by a camera, knocking her unconscious, taken to a hospital. and was left with scars after her surgery and one shoulder shorter than the other. She also couldn't wear swimsuits on the show anymore. On the 5th as well, Reggie Jackson is elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And finally, on the 5th, Washington State executes Wesley Allen Dodd by hanging, the first hanging in America since 1965. Also didn't realize Washington still had the death penalty, but on the 8th, Elvis Presley commemorative postage stamp goes on sale. Also on the 8th, David Letterman is offered The Tonight Show. On the 12th, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inducts CCR, The Doors, Van Morrison, and Dick Clark, among others. On the 12th as well, Zayn Malik from One Direction. Zan?
No, it's Zayn.
It's Zayn. I assumed that was Zayn because I know there's one named Zayn.
It's funny. The last thing I watched before I walked out here was relating to One Direction.
Go on.
We were watching the Paul Rudd Christmas special from SNL where there was no audience. And there's a sketch where he pretends to be where he's like an adult One Direction fan.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's pretty funny.
I was assuming you were watching the One Direction documentary.
No.
Also, Zayn Malik is born on the 12th. On the 14th, Letterman announces he's moving from NBC to CBS Late Night. On the 16th, Madonna hosts and is the musical guest for Saturday Night Live. Nice tie-in, Andrew. The episode we referenced when talking about Sinead O'Connor's controversial performance episode from earlier in the season. Also on the 18th, MLK Day is observed. Actually, MLK Jr. Day is observed in all 50 states for the first time. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is observed in all 50 states of the United States of America for the first time in 1993. Thank you. On the 20th, Bill Clinton is inaugurated as president. Also on the 20th, Maya Angelou. No, I had it right the first time. Becomes the first African-American and first woman to recite a poem at the inauguration of a U.S. president.
And can we all just take a moment to remember last year at the inauguration, the person who read the poem, I forget her name. She was really good.
She was fantastic.
Yeah, that was
good.
Instagram. Republicans are like, Murr. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I think this started the whole poetry thing. On the 20th, Audrey Hepburn passes away at 63 from colon cancer. No more breakfast at Tiffany's. On the 23rd, Nancy Kerrigan wins the U.S. Female Figure Skating Championship. Still building to something. On the 24th, Thurgood Marshall, first African-American Supreme Court Justice, passes away at 84. On the 25th, Puerto Rico adds English as its second official language. On the 26th, Cameron Bright from the Twilight Saga and X-Men is born.
Okay.
I think he's Beast in the X-Men, the newer X-Men, the first class X-Men.
Your mouth's moving, but all I hear is noise.
On the 27th, Andre the Giant passed away at 49. On the 28th, actress Elizabeth Montgomery, 59, Bewitched. She was from Bewitched. We talked about her before. Weds Robert Foxworth, 51. And finally, on the 31st, Super Bowl 27, the Cowboys beat the Bills 52-17. And during that Super Bowl, the first halftime show performance, solo performer is Michael Jackson. Isn't that interesting? On TV premiering January of 1993. On the 1st, we have Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman on CBS. Oh, yeah. On the 3rd, Star Trek Deep Space Nine in syndication. On the 11th, WWF Monday Night Raw on USA. That's not the World Wildlife Fund. On the 27th, Kung Fu, The Legend Continues on P10, whatever that is. In the box office, on the 8th, we have Leprechaun. And on the 29th, we have Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice. That one got me. And in the Billboard charts, number 1 for January of 1993, and from late November 1992 and through February,
Ooh,
I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston from The Bodyguard.
Oh, yeah. Kevin Costner.
Ooh, yes.
Whitney Houston.
Bodyguarding.
Remember he gets like shot in the arm from a camera or something.
I haven't watched The Bodyguard in
I'm pretty sure like the guy with the giant
years.
shoulder-mounted camera has like a gun in it, and he shoots Whitney Houston, and Kevin Costner saves the day.
It's not from the Manchurian Candidate.
Maybe.
I don't know. I haven't watched The Bodyguard since I was probably 6. And for the 4th week of January 1993, number 8, we have Deeper and Deeper by Madonna. Number 9, A Whole New World, Aladdin's theme from Aladdin. Number 14, What About Your Friends by TLC. Number 22, Walk on the Ocean by Toad the Wet Sprocket. Number 23, Ordinary World by Duran Duran. And number 24, Walking on Broken Glass by Annie Lennox. And now, well, let me toss it off to myself. Enjoy that, UK viewers, for that soundbite.
It is a camera. He shoots it out of the camera. I watched it on YouTube, so now I know.
Welcome to our new mid-episode break, Name Me 90s Minute. Every week, we take a look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of Hilary Duff starring in How I Met Your Father, which debuted last week on Hulu, we are taking a look back at the 1998 direct-to-video sequel, Casper Meets Wendy. I wanted to do Friends because How I Met Your Mother basically stole their formula, not including the voiceovers, but Andrew disagrees with me on that assessment. So here we go. Casper Meets Wendy is a direct-to-video sequel of the 1997 direct-to-video sequel of the 1995 kids classic, Casper. As Casper, A Spirited Beginning was a prequel to the movie Casper, Casper Meets Wendy is both a sequel to A Spirited Beginning and still a prequel to the theatrically released Casper. The movie stars Lizzie McGuire as Wendy, the Good Little Witch, another Harvey Comics property like Casper the Friendly Ghost. The movie starts with Casper's 3 uncles, voiced by Captain Copernicus Leslie Quark, post-1987 Goofy, and Wacko Warner, pretending to be a UFO at a baseball game. After getting a good scare in, they decide to take Casper on vacation. Meanwhile, evil warlock Desmond Spellman, played by the lawyer from The Godfather Part 3, learns that Wendy will become the greatest witch ever, surpassing his own power. So he creates minions named Jules, played by the bailiff from Night Court, and Vincent, played by Mr. Vargas from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, to hunt her down. Because what 8-year-old wouldn't get that Pulp Fiction reference, am I right? Wendy and her aunts, played by the wife from Raging Bull, the wife from The Shining, and the wife from Mr. Mom, flee their home and hide out at the same resort Casper and his uncles end up at. Casper and Cheaper by the Dozen hit it off by bonding over their respective overbearing yet somehow negligent caregivers, but fear their relatives won't get along because witches and ghosts are natural enemies for plot convenience. Casper tricks his uncles into possessing people so they can hit on the witches who are hiding as regular women at the resort. And of course, everything eventually goes wrong, and Cheaper by the Dozen 2 has to cast a high-level magic spell alerting the warlock to their location. A final battle ensues where the ghosts and witches have to work together and eventually defeat Spellman, but not before their respective wards are fatally wounded relative to a direct-to-video 90s children's movie. But through love of their aunts and uncles, both Casper and So Yesterday survive, making her the greatest witch ever because she befriended a ghost who she then kisses before they depart. A little long for a burger advertisement in my opinion. And that's Casper Meets Wendy in a Name Me 90s Minute, more or less.
And now, back to the show. You choose your favorite.
I just go with yours so I don't have to cut around you saying it. Anywhere you want to go? Is that what I'm supposed to ask?
Sure. Oh, okay. How do I ask delicately about Michael Jackson and the Superb Owl show?
Well, the Superb Owl halftime show, the big game halftime show.
The big game, yeah.
Yes. It's not like they're going to scrub through our video and find every time we say Superb Owl. So last episode, we talked about In Living Color doing like counter programming.
Yeah.
As I was looking into that further after the show, That was because the Super Bowl halftime shows weren't like anything big. Like
they weren't a spectacle back then.
Exactly. They didn't expect you to stick around. So Michael Jackson became like the first big Super Bowl halftime show act. And he was big at the time. Like last episode was like Black and White was at the top of the charts or something like that.
My favorite.
Yeah.
But you can watch the whole performance in HD.
In HD on the Superb Owl YouTube page.
It's not really HD because, well, it's from 1993.
93, yeah. I am curious how they do that because, like, some of the clips that.
Oh, and it was during the day and it wasn't dark. It was like in an outdoor stadium.
But I mean, that's the other weird thing. Like, the Super Bowl is now like mid-February, whereas in the 90s, it was late January. And that's mostly because they swapped the Super Bowl and the Pro Bowl. Like they always used to have the Pro Bowl after the Super Bowl. And there was always like a week in between the two, which made no sense at all.
Well, my question's been answered. He's in full on weird mode in 1993. And also there's like some person with giant bleach blonde hair playing guitar on the stage with him.
Is it Prince? No.
No, it's like a woman of some kind.
Okay.
This is intense. It was 17 minutes long.
Yeah, it's a Super Bowl halftime show.
Good Lord.
So not only retained viewers, it increased the amount of viewers that the Super Bowl had up to that point. Like, because usually, like, now we know it as like the thing that Americans watch. Like, it's the number one thing that everyone watches.
Yep. The Jacksons have a storied history of reinvigorating halftime shows.
Are you talking about Janet Jackson and Justin
wardrobe
Timberlake?
Malfunction? Yes.
Yeah. Or more recently.
Well, here's the thing about a wardrobe malfunction. Like, why does your wardrobe have a boob that comes off? That's my question.
She was wearing a pasty.
Okay, that makes sense.
That was in the act.
I just think it's so funny, and I think many comedians have made fun of this, where it's like now it's vulgar. Once they take off the pasty, now it's just this is not good for people to watch.
No. It was like, think of like a breastfeeding getup. Yeah, that's what she was wearing. Then Justin pulls that off, and she had a pasty on the boob.
Oh, so what's the problem?
I don't know.
I mean, it's like going through one of those drive-through coffee stands where one of the windows is blacked out on one of the sides, which I've never been through, but I know people who have been through, and that seems awkward to me.
Oh, really?
Yes. People that we may have grown up with.
Oh, interesting.
People that may live in the South End.
that don't listen to our show. No, I already know I knew who you were talking about.
But I was like, do you make small talk? Do you just stare at them? Because I feel like even if you're going to that place, but you're just staring, it makes you creepy still.
Like, are you supposed to tip? Like,
like, are you? It's like, are you putting yourself through college? Like, what are you gonna do? Oh, you want to be a nurse? That's nice. I don't know.
This is from two men who have never been to a strip club before.
Never once. Yeah, no.
Yeah. So, how many children do you have at home?
Oh God. Anyway,
it's
what do you want to talk about?
Tuesday morning at 5 a.m.
What do you want to talk about?
I mean, how good can you make a caramel macchiato in -5 degrees and
I think pretty well.
Pasties.
Yeah. Anyway, so what do you want to talk about?
Pro sex work here. We used Andre the Giant as our Quotely 90s, so we have to touch on him at least a little bit. Which was funny to listen to because so Dange has a habit of getting it right in the beginning, and then Gaz talks him down off of that bridge of being correct. So this time he's like, well, I don't know, but it sounds like the line from The Princess Bride from Andre the Giant. And Gaz like, I've watched the Princess Bride 1,000 times. I don't think I've heard that line. And Dange's like, I just don't know why they'd be picking an 80s movie when it's Quotely 90s. And that's my terrible impression of Gaz and Dange. But we got him.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
That's one of those movies, The Princess Bride, that I've tried to watch it a few times, and all I remember is like the one guy that's kind of like is he like a Zorro ripoff?
Kind of, yeah.
And then the one guy that's like a character actor and everything that goes, inconceivable. That's all I recognize from that. And then Andre the Giant with his like weird off the shoulder thing going.
Yeah. So Andre the Giant worked for Fezzik, who was the inconceivable. You did a great one of that. We're adding that to your Quelly 90s impressions. And then who's the other one? The actor that all the old people like.
Is it Carrie Elwes?
No, well,
yes,
he's the Zorro ripoff guy. He's Wesley.
Oh, I know he's the ripoff guy. I recognize him as the like competing new love interest in the movie Liar Liar.
Oh yeah, no, he's
with
the
Maura Tierney, and
he's the main character of the film. He also is framed by Fred Savage being read to by I want to say Night Court, but that's not correct. MacGyver's not correct either.
Being read to by?
Yeah, his grandfather. So
I thought you were going to say Bob Saget.
Fair enough. It was a pre-Bob Saget era. When Fred Savage he's like in bed sick and his grandfather is waiting to him.
Oh yeah, I remember. I've never seen this whole movie.
It's oh gosh, who is it? It's one of those old like detective shows where like the detective's a hothead who doesn't play by the rules and Gumbo. No, I can do this. I can do this on an episode of Namely 90s. It's like McGumbo, MacGyver. Oh my God. Please help me. Please help me.
MacGruber. No, just kidding.
No, it's he has like a trench coat on and I feel like your mom's even called you this once when we were kids.
It's
like a 70s show. It's not Matlock. Oh my God. I can't win.
I got nothing.
Win. It's well, tweet at us at Namely90s with 90s to tell me how dumb I am. But his grandfather's reading him this book, The Princess Bride. And then the other Mandy Patinkin is in it as the hello, I am Inicio Montoya or Inigo Montoya. I don't know.
Close enough.
You killed my father. Prepare to die. Or something like that. I'm told I have to watch it. It's not funny. It's not entertaining. I watched it in the last time I had a serious girlfriend, I guess. We went back and watched it because we could never like decide on what to watch together. But I thought it still held up.
I might get in trouble for this, but I'm always like being pressured to watch god awful like 80s movies.
Billy Crystal's in it
by my wife's side of the family because they just really like their kind of like older comedies. when the less politically correct comedies.
When you can name a character, was it something Dong in The Breakfast Club, the Asian kid? Yeah.
Or there is one that I will say I actually watched that I thought was funny. It's a film adaptation of a musical called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. Have you seen that movie? It's from 1966.
No.
And as soon as someone says, "Do you want to watch a movie from 1966?" I'm like, I'm out. I'm out.
I mean,
I laughed out loud at several points during that movie. There's like a prolonged like chariot chase at the end that is so fun. It's a really funny movie. I would actually recommend it.
That does sound familiar. That's not like Chariots of Fire or
no. It's got like old people in it. Obviously,
is that about,
Zero
like,
Mostel is that
about like Hollywood back then?
No, it's actually set in like Roman times, but it is a comedy. Decidedly, it's very funny.
Gotcha.
Like I was laughing. I was having trouble breathing watching the final scenes. I was laughing so hard. And I'm like, that's unusual for me. Usually I'm like, oh my God, this is from the 60s. I can't even look at it.
So what you're saying is that these people that enjoy non-modern PC humor showed you a movie that you laughed out loud really hard at based off of their...
But that movie wasn't very like
I know, I was
politically incorrect. The other thing is, it's that thing where like people are referencing, they're like quoting a movie that you've never seen before, and you're like, okay, I don't get it. I think The Office did a joke like that. We just saw that recently. Where they're quoting Die Hard, but Aaron's never seen it.
Oh.
And she's like, this isn't really fun because I'm... Anyway.
Macumbo? No, I'm still stuck on who the grandfather was.
Columbo,
thank you.
Magumbo helped me get there. Didn't Columbo only have one arm?
No. That can't be true. I've seen an episode of Columbo. Oh, thank you.
He's a homicide detective.
Yep.
Peter Falk something.
Uh-huh.
No, he has two hands. I feel like someone didn't have two. Like someone had no like. Oh, he lost his eye.
Yes.
Oh, got it.
Is that why he was always like squinting?
Yes. What are you squinting about? That joke is about French Stewart, by the way. I just readapted it for this.
Yes.
What?
It wasn't from that 1966 movie that he watched. A little bit more about Andre the Giant since he died. He was awesome. He was a wrestler for the WWF. Technically, he started with the WWF. Good God, Vince McMahon, make a shorter name. He was the inaugural inductee into the Hall of Fame, and after his death, he also appeared in like BJ and the Bear, this 90s Zorro, Greatest American Hero, $6 Million Man. He has an uncredited role in Conan the Destroyer, but yeah, he was mostly known as the wrestler, and he was pretty big in the 80s, and he's very beloved for his role in The Princess Bride.
He had a condition, I assume. Yes.
Oh, sorry. He was a French-Bulgarian professional wrestler and actor. He was over 7 feet tall, and that was the result of him having gigantism, which is caused by an excess growth hormone.
Acromegaly.
Thank you.
It's something that cats also get.
Really?
It causes them to have diabetes and like large heads.
When they're the chonks.
Yeah.
Oh, large heads.
That's actually what my parents' cat had, I'm pretty sure.
Oreo?
No, Leo. My parents' cat is Andre the Giant. He's dead now. R.I.P. Leo.
And Andre the Giant.
Yeah, Andre the Giant. Is that offensive? I don't know.
Well, only when we say rip to the max, Andre the Giant. Well, that was his stage name. Andre the Giant.
All right.
R.I.P. Andre Rene Rosimov. But yeah, I also want to talk about Deep Space Nine. I know I said we talked about every single possible Star Trek thing.
I know zero about this program.
Oh, is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
I know we watched it.
Martin Luther King Jr. You watched Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman?
My mom did.
Is that Mary Stern?
No, it's
Oh no, it's not Jane Fonda.
Jane
Seymour.
Seymour. Yes,
it's not her.
Yeah, it is. Jane Seymour plays Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was.
I'm looking it up. It's Jane Seymour.
Oh, it is Jane Seymour.
And it looks like the cover of like one of those romance novels.
Yes.
Because there's like a guy with Fabio hair and a lot of fringe on his leather shirt.
She was a, frontier woman. Yes. Cool. Well, a Star Trek Deep Space Nine was also something.
It sure was. It sure was.
Well, I've seen every episode of Deep Space Nine. It was like the first. So Star Trek: The Next Generation came back. It rebooted the franchise after the movies kind of got people interested in Star Trek again in the 80s. But Gene Roddenberry died, and they're like, oh, let's make a darker Star Trek, because Gene Roddenberry was always about, in the Federation in the future, everyone's happy, and Earth has gotten over its problems, which they've kind of retconned in the recent years. But yeah, Deep Space Nine was freaking dark. It was like Wings. You remember Wings?
Okay. Yeah, Wings. Yeah, I know Wings.
Well, so Deep Space Nine is a space station, so like all the spaceships would come through. So that's where their whatever the week would come from. It's like, oh, the Klingons came in, they were mad about something, and then they blew something up, and blah blah blah. There's like this whole series long story about it was a Bajoran space station that the Federation helped staff or whatever, and Bajor was like this planet that was enslaved to the Cardassians, which Andrew's fallen asleep at this point.
The Kardashians?
The Cardassians.
Kim Kardashian.
Yes. It was definitely named after the lawyer. But
so,
yes.
Okay, the only thing I know from this show is Worf and the weird, like, red guy.
Well, Worf was from The Next Generation.
Oh, okay, that's why I recognize him.
He came over in the last couple seasons.
And the creepy red guy with the red, bald, giant head thing.
The red, bald, giant head.
Yeah, the guy with, like, the real prominent brow that goes into his ears. And he's wearing, like, a knitted sweater. And his head is, like, bulgy and kind of red.
He's Odo, I believe. I feel it. If you're talking about someone, you're talking about Odo. But I don't recall him being red. He's
no. There's another guy in like the cast photo, and he's like, I can't. Okay, I'm gonna just send it to you.
Oh, there's the captain's bald.
No. Here, I'm putting it in the chat.
Okay,
this is good radio.
With like a butt for a head.
Yeah.
That's Quark. He's a Ferengi.
Ew, he's gross.
They're all about the where's my chat? They're all about what is it? Their entire society is based on capitalism. Yeah. Still wouldn't say red, but sure.
Kind of red.
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine. So it's a
he
ship.
He ran the bar.
It's not a ship. It's like a spaceport.
Exactly. There's also in that cast photo is Dax, who the woman left to play, or the actress left to go play the sarcastic woman on the show Becker. I don't remember her name, and she was replaced by the wife from the Dead Zone.
Yes, as one does.
Well, their species are called Trill. They have a little symbiote inside of them. Anyway, it got dark. It was about war and like occupation, and they found a wormhole to the Delta or Gamma Quadrant, and then there was like a race of genocidal beings out there or something, and it was a really serious wartime Star Trek drama. If you could believe that.
I just sent you may have seen this video already, but it's basically like where they compare the different spaceship, like fictional starships and their relative size with New York as the background. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen like the photo of like a Star Destroyer over New York.
Oh, definitely watch this video in a minute.
Okay.
You'll find it interesting.
I mean, just the fact that Bebop is the size of, you can't really see New York behind.
Yeah, you'll see. Yeah, I think you'll find it interesting. Anyway,
there it is.
Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. Wow, Borg Cube only takes up a couple districts.
So you're going to enjoy. You're going to watch. You're going to like that.
Anyway, Deep Space Nine. If you like Star Trek, but also wish that it was a dark war story about a black captain who needed to get close to his son because his wife died, and then he
I always wish that. Yeah, always
a god or a prophet for a race of people that lived light years away from him and where he was born. Definitely check out Deep Space Nine. That's Deep Space Nine in namely 90s minutes.
I will not watch that, but thank you.
It's I liked it. It wasn't bad. It was different, and It was still Star Trek, unlike the modern Star Trek, which is still technically Star Trek, but kind of meh.
Yeah, I hear you.
Anyway, that's January 1993. And if I could scroll to the part in my notes that say, that's it for this week's edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Check the episode description for this week's supplemental Spotify playlist curated by yours truly. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Namely90s with 90s, or find our personal accounts at bshwitty and at NamelyAndrew, and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please check us out. Please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Namely90s, also with a 90s. And finally, you could contact us through our website, Namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Starfleet, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon, that's Andrew, and we will catch you next time.
Goodbye.